A lot of people think that leadership is telling people to do something and them doing it and you just getting to sit back and all that good jazz. I work twice as hard as a leader because I know that this industry has literally changed my life. It has changed my life and it has literally put me in a position that something I've never even thought about, being possible, especially where I come from. Being able to give back and pour into people and help empower others, that is worth any title, any type of salary, anything more than you can imagine.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode cinco. That's 5 in Spanish, for those of you that don't hablar español. We are here today with an incredible guest. Many know him as Solar Soldier. Some know him as Cory, and others that don't know him so well know him as Cory Macklin. And Cory Macklin, this is one of the best leaders in solar right out of Baltimore, Maryland. It's great to have you, my friend.
First of all, thanks for having me on. And I couldn't have done an introduction any better. And I think that my regional partner needs to introduce me better every time I walk into the office.
I agree with that. I think I was going to say this is actually part podcast, part intervention. But I'm here. You might be wondering yourself, who's this other guy here on the pod? And this is my co-host. I want to welcome Bobby Braun, our regional for the DMV, which for those of you that don't hablar inglés, the DMV stands for DC, Maryland, and Virginia. The old, it's not like a tri-state area. Do you call it that?
DC's not a state. It's more of a locality, if you will.
Got it. So it's a bi-state plus one locality region, which a lot of people know it as that. But this is Bobby Braun. He is here co-hosting with me today, a little guest host spot. I thought it'd be nice and fun to do that. And this guy over here, you've kind of been coming up with him for 5 years now. And so, Bobby, it's great to have you on the pod. And just a quick little plug, episode 6 will be recorded right here after this. And all we're going to do is you two are just going to trade seats. Cory will become a host. Bobby will become a guest. And then we'll probably poll the audience. We'll see in the comments, was he a better host or a better guest? It'll be fun to see. But anyway, Bobby, welcome to the pod, dude.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it. It's been a journey going through this with Cory. Started this thing together day one, and I'm excited to dig in.
Yeah, me too. Cory's an incredible human being. Some people don't know him all that well, but some people know him maybe even more than they'd like to if they follow him. If they follow him on social media, they're like, I really know this guy intimately. I love it, Cory. I love it, dude. But before we get into this, obviously our sponsors, there's a ton of pressure from our sponsors. They're always like, read the sponsor, do the sponsor reads louder, take more time. But we gotta give a quick shout out to our sponsor. This episode 5 of The Signal, is brought to you by the Magic Bullet. Magic Bullet is a blender system. One touch, you just put that thing. It's one of the most incredible contraptions I've ever seen. In the history of blenders, nothing's ever been like it. Nothing's ever been created quite like it. You can really blend up anything. We're living in the future today. Okay. It used to be that solid foods you had to eat with a fork and knife, liquid foods you can drink. But ever since the Magic Bullet came on the scenes, there is no distinction between solid foods and liquid foods. This thing can blend up steaks, lamb chops, chicken wings, you name it. It can blend it up. And I promise you might think that doesn't sound good. It's better when you drink it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And you've been on this now for months.
I have. I used to be a lot lighter. I actually used to be a lot heavier. But since I've been blending my steak and potatoes, I'm able to walk it off and sweat it off a lot quicker. Yeah. So it doesn't put all the weight on. Shout out to Magic Blender.
Yes, it's Magic Bullet. But shout out to the Magic Bullet. Really do your digestive system a favor. Get a Magic Bullet. Stop chewing. Start living in the future like the rest of us. Anyway, thank you to the Magic Bullet for sponsoring this episode. Let's get in here. Cory, you look great, first and foremost.
Thank you.
Not that I didn't expect it, because I did.
What can I say? Balance has done me well. Yeah. I get to, work hard and celebrate wins by buying jerseys for my guys with more money. So it's great.
Yeah, it's a good one. That's an exclusive Baltimore exclusive, I believe. Right there. So
it is.
That's pretty sick. So anyway, we're going to get into this whole thing. I want to just start by asking you about who you are and where you come from. Can you just let the audience in on who is Cory Macklin? Where did you come from? What was your upbringing like? Just tell us a story and get us up to speed.
So I'm actually from Pasadena, Maryland. My family's been there, I don't know, about like 140 years.
Okay.
So way back when my great-great-grandfather or something bought like 50 acres for like a quarter an acre. Passed down some to his brothers and sisters. And then like 15 acres been passed down generation to generation. So I actually grew up in a pretty wealthy area. But unfortunately, I grew up very poor. So I grew up without a lot of the necessities that, friends had. There were times in my life where we didn't have electricity. So we were using kerosene heaters, kerosene lamps, things like that. And growing up and seeing friends have extravagant birthdays and extravagant Christmases and not getting anything because my family couldn't afford to do those things. It really put a different perspective on life for me. Now, when I was younger, I kind of felt some type of way about it, but they may not have been able to provide financially, but honestly, they poured into me and invested into me more than any dollar figure could amount to. I was primarily raised by my grandmother. My father left. I didn't know him until I was 13 years old. My mother, she had addiction problems. So my grandmother primarily raised me. What did she do? She worked for the state. She took care of elderly people and all that good jazz. Mm-hmm. She didn't make a whole lot of money, She took care of me. She also took care of her grown kids. She was definitely a strong woman. Showed me what work ethic was like. Showed me what taking care of people and taking care of family was like. So that really kind of shaped my life and shaped my viewpoint on the world and why I fight so hard for the things that I fight for. I was actually. So it's funny because we were at Pat's house yesterday and, Pat was talking about his time in school, how he did horrible, but it got great on the SATs and all that good jazz because of not applying himself. Me, I was a little different. So I was very good in school ever since a young age. I remember first grade, I won a spelling bee and I was holy cow, this is the best feeling ever. So I really, really dove and focused into my academics. I'd always been straight A student, principal's honor roll student. But the issue was, I came from a poor family. And, parents had problems of their own. And, I just didn't feel like I had, what other kids around me had. And I just felt like I wasn't as loved and understood as other kids around me were. So even though I got really, really good grades, I acted out a lot. I would get into fights, get into it with teachers. But the thing was, it's because I was so good at my academics, I would never face any problems for it. And I think I know they were trying to help me because I know a lot of them understood, my background. But honestly, I think that was part of a detriment because it showed me that I can I can excel in an area and do whatever I want in another one. And I wouldn't really face any repercussions because of my excellence in certain areas. So honestly, I used that to skate through life. High school came around. I dropped out in 12th grade. Dropped out in 12th grade.
You dropped out as a senior?
I did. You
got right to the 99-yard line and just took your helmet off.
Got
to the 1-yard line, took his helmet off and walked off the field, dude. Antonio Brown.
Yeah, that's why we're Steelers, baby. Nah, so yeah, like I don't know. It was something. Walked into the office with the guidance counselor, and like I was skipping all the time. So the guidance counselor wanted me to
Before we get there, you were you getting when did you stop getting good grades?
I never stopped getting good grades.
So you were getting good grades and you weren't really even showing up.
No, it was easy. Like schoolwork was easy. Like I knew the work. Like I'm the type of person that like I wouldn't just study at school. I wouldn't just learn at school. I would learn outside of school. So I was already more advanced than most people. That's why I was in AP classes and all that good jazz. So honestly, I could really, really slack off and still do an amazing job because I just already kind of knew it.
And so then you were having behavioral problems. We could categorize it like that. And you were getting away with it.
Yes.
It's tough. It's tough for a kid to learn that.
It is.
You can get away with things. That's not a good lesson to learn growing up. Oh, I can get away with a lot? Watch what I do next.
Kids are the biggest manipulators.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're smart.
Yeah.
Terrible combination.
Well, not smart enough. If I would have been truly smart, I would have known that, everything catches up with you at a point. Which, a little bit down the road, things did catch up with me a lot more. And life took a crazier turn. So I ended up falling into addiction myself, pretty much right out of high school. I think I was about 20 years old, 21 years old when I first started experimenting and got, heavier into it. And it's crazy because I'm like, oh, it'll never be me. I know it was both my parents, struggled with it. But I'm smarter than them. I can just dibble, I can just dabble. And
you can get away with things.
Yeah. I can get away with things, right? And that's where life really started to, teach me lessons and humble me. I was staying at home until, let's see, what are we in, 2025? So that's 11 years ago. So until I was about 26 years old, maybe 25.
Still living with your grandma.
Yeah. Then she passed.
May she rest in peace. I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. She passed and my aunts and uncles took over the house. And one of the first business of order, what happens when a new CEO or management comes in?
Did you get fired from the house, Cory?
I got fired from that. Yeah. That was the first business of order, first order of business. They came in, they're like, hey, we can't allow this. You got to go. And, my mom was still staying there. Like, she would try to sneak me in her window and all that good jazz. But it would only cause more arguments and turmoil. So, I was homeless. For a while, I bounced around from friend's house to friend's house because I was not right in spirit. I was not the perfect house guest and really overstayed my welcome in some scenarios. So I ended up homeless.
This is 26.
Yeah. So
you're 26 years old.
I'm 26 years old. I'm 26 years old.
At this time.
So, in and out of incarceration and, just stupid stuff. And same issue comes around, I'd get arrested for something. I'd go in front of the judge and I speak very eloquently. And he's like, wow, I cannot believe that you were in this type of trouble. You seem like a very good man. We're just going to call it even and let you go. So I never really, got to face a lot of accountability, outside accountability for my actions because of my excellence in certain areas. But, I just thought that I was untouchable. Felt like I was on top of the world. And for the next couple of years, I really struggled. Didn't work, literally, when I say homeless, I was sleeping in the woods. I was broke, so I didn't have money for a tent. But luckily I did have a sleeping bag. So I managed to, just find a nice secluded spot in the woods where I felt as though I was safe. I felt as though I could set up home. And I lived there for a while.
How long?
I did that for about 2 years.
Wow.
Did that for about 2 years. It's crazy because like they say every, cloud has a silver lining. I wouldn't wish like homelessness on anyone. But like I found a lot of peace and clarity being out amongst the stars, being grounded with nature and just, having that time to reflect. I've always been a religious person. Well, I guess not always. My parents were religious. They tried to push me into it. And of course, kids, they push back. But, I've always believed, and I've always thought that, God had a path, and that if we just accept his will and stop trying to, force ours, then things might work out. So I remember when I first started like my addiction and, my road to troubles, all I kept saying was like, gosh, if I'm still doing this when I'm 30 years old, like I don't even want to be here. And I had done that pretty much 9 years, from when I was 20 all the way up until, funny enough, it was a month before my 30th birthday is when my life changed for the better. I wasn't going to take it at that time, but like, God really works in mysterious ways and puts people in your life. So my mom, she had gotten clean. She had been working on herself. She had gotten clean. She had, got back into the church, started taking positions at the church and all that good jazz, would pray for me, try to help me out. She would, give me money for food and, all that good jazz. But like, that was as far as the help she could have. And at the church she went to, there was this gentleman that worked, that like did work for a homeless shelter. And his name was Mr. Melvin. And Melvin's like, hey, I can get him into this homeless shelter. Why don't you have him give me a call? So my mom's like, hey, she was like, you should talk to this guy. She was like, he can help you out. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not staying in a homeless shelter. I'm like, I have way too much pride for that. I was like, how can I face my friends or the world and, being who I was and who they knew me as. And, now Cory, that's in a homeless shelter. Right. But like they say, pride comes before the fall.
And this is even though you're already homeless.
Yes.
Like you are homeless.
Yes. Yes.
And the pride was not. Did people know you were homeless or were you like kind of keeping it a secret?
I kept it a secret. How
did you like shower and...
So I would
you did.
Yeah, I did. I would be able, like they would let me in and shower, like my mom's house and all that good jazz. So I had like bag of clothes that were in like trash bags to keep, keep
the water out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I would take, the laundry home. My mom would wash it for me, put it back in the bags. I'd take it back to the woods and all that good jazz. So like at least I had a place to shower and all that good jazz. People didn't know I was homeless because like I was so down bad that I was super worried about keeping up with appearances. So I dressed nice in like hand-me-downs that I got from friends and all that good jazz. So most people didn't know I was homeless. It was like my dark, ugly secret. And then when they were like, you should go into the homeless shelter, which is in Annapolis. And like, I know a lot of people from there and a lot of people that I know hang out from there. And I'm like, I can't let anybody just like happen to see me in a homeless shelter. Like, nah, I'm good. I'd rather, sleep with the worms and the spiders, which is, a ridiculous thing to say, because who am I to think that I'm that important, right? And who am I to care what anybody else thinks about me if I'm trying to better myself? The only reason that I actually went is my best friend. My best friend, Matt, I was telling Matt about it and he was like, bro, you need to do it. He's like, there's no ifs. I'm like, bro, I can't do that. He's like, bro, who cares? He's like, who cares? He was like, if it's what you got to do, it's what you got to do. I went in there and, because I was still using when I went in there, they drug test everyone. And because I came up dirty, like I couldn't go anywhere. I think it was like for the first like 2 weekends or something. And they also were going to make me take drug classes. And I'm like, whoa. First of all, I didn't even want to sign up for a homeless shelter. Now you're trying to make me sign up for drug classes? Like, nah, I'm not that person. I don't need that. And they're like, well, if you want to stay here, you're going to be that person. And my attitude was like, I'd been through this plenty of times, court ordered, all that good jazz. I'm like, I done been through it a lot. They're not going to teach me anything. I already know everything, blah, blah, blah. I get into the first class, sit down. I think it's within like the first 30 minutes. The counselor, she's talking and she's going over situation, some information. And something she said just like really resonated with me. It sucks because I cannot remember what it was and I can't remember what the topic was. But I know she said something that resonated with me that then triggered me to say, like, holy cow, maybe I don't know everything. So that was my first moment of willingness to learn, willingness to be broken down, to be built back up. And from that point is when I really started taking stuff seriously. So I kind of went in there, with the thirst for knowledge, right? A hunger, something like the magic bullet might quench or something like that.
Nothing it can't.
And sitting there and like starting to take stuff seriously and starting to take myself seriously. And I remember like the first moment of empowerment, because like one of the biggest issues with my addiction is because like the people I was hanging around. Yeah. Like those were my friends. We had grown up together, like for better or worse and all that good jazz. And I'm like, oh, if I get myself better, I'm leaving them behind. Which was a really weird thing to say.
That's
but
hard.
It is. And I remember like first started taking seriously and I got a call from a friend. And he was like, hey, looking for this, that, and the third. He was like, can you help me find it? And I'm like, bro, I'm sorry to say, but I no longer run in those circles. It was the first time in my 10 years that I'd ever found the courage and the empowerment to actually say no. I found my voice, right? So that was like a real turning point. And I started saying no more. I started, pushing my way from situations that weren't from me more. I started finding, my 2 feet to stand on. I started finding my confidence. I started finding myself back. My birthday is October 20th. I got my clean date is September 19th. It was literally 1 month before my 30th birthday.
Real buzzer beater.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't planned. It was just how God worked it out to be. And I started changing. I started working. Before then, oh my goodness. Before then, I had never kept a job for more than 30, 60 days. I think it was probably like maybe 90 days max was my longest job, longest tenure. I started working. I got back into construction because that's what I did. I can build anything, drive anything, operate anything, did a lot of carpentry. And started working for a company that the gentleman that got me into the shelter, shout out to the Lighthouse Shelter in Annapolis, Maryland. It's a great place. Mr. Melvin, who got me in there, he owned his own auto body detailing shop. And one of his neighbors actually owned a construction company. So he was like, hey, I got this. He's like, I got this young guy, really good, been changing life around. Do you have a job for him? They gave me a job. I didn't have a car, didn't have a license. I was 30 years old, never had a license. Dominic, he picked me up from the shelter every single morning for work. We rode, we worked. I got paid. I kept that job for about 9 months. The only reason that I stopped is because it was like the next November, and it started to get cold and like they didn't have a lot of work to do. So from there, I went to, it's funny. It is funny how life works. So I did interviews. interview I did was at a car wash. They wouldn't hire me because of my tattoos. I did an interview for Tractor Supply.
That's some uppity car wash.
It is a very.
Come on.
I'm like,
you're a car wash. All right.
Right.
You ain't a bank. All right. Sorry. I can't. I just want to know who this manager is. Thinks he's got such a hoity-toity car wash, dude.
It was insane. That was my exact same feeling. I'm like, at a car wash? I'm like, bro, I didn't apply. What do you... Like, okay. It was insanity. So I ended up applying for Tractor Supply as like a warehouse operator. And it was a 3-step interview. So in order for me to go forward with the story, you have to know that my teeth are fake. So, I was addicted, drugs destroyed my teeth. So I hadn't gotten them fixed yet. So I go into this interview for Tractor Supply for a warehouse position. First interview does really well. Second interview, they call me back in and I'm interviewing with this guy. And, he's asking me like off the wall interview questions, but like the interview goes on for about like an hour. And he's like, I'm going to be honest with you. He was like, I think you are way too talented to be inside the warehouse. He was like, honestly, he's like, I think you would be great for our sales division. He was like, I would put you out, gaining contracts. He was like, but I have to be honest with you. He was like, I cannot put you in front of people with your teeth like that. And I'm like, honestly, that's fair enough. I probably wouldn't either.
I ain't even mad. It's just true.
It was true. It was true. So like, how can I be mad, right? So I didn't actually get the warehouse position. I ended up getting a job at the Lighthouse Bistro. So the homeless shelter I was at was the Lighthouse Shelter. It's a nonprofit. And one of the ways that it's funded is by their restaurant called the Lighthouse Bistro. So what the Lighthouse does is they take people and they train them in type of fields like sanitation, accounting, like office work and restaurant work. So, I started working at the bistro. I think I started as a dishwasher, started washing dishes. Then they put me as host. Then from host, they put me as cook, from cook, bartender to server. Then next thing you know, management, because I can do everything in there. I was the only person that literally could do every job in that restaurant. I worked there for about 10 months. And beforehand, like I said, I could barely keep a job for 60 days. Now I just had 2 jobs where I've been at for close to a year. And the only reason why I left the bistro is because one of my friends, he saw the path I was on. He saw like my road to recovery. He saw like how I changed my life. And he was like, bro, he was like, you need to come work with me. He's like, it'll put more money back in your pocket. So I was making like, I don't know, $11 at the bistro. So I went to work with him at a moving company for like $17 an hour. Worked there, ended up, doing well. I got my license. Then I got my DOT because they were promoting me, having me a driver and all that good jazz. And then my other friend was like, hey, you should come work with me. It's better money. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. So I went to do geothermal well drilling. I absolutely had no idea what geothermal well drilling was. I just knew that I got paid pretty good money to drill wells. So
can you explain to everybody what a geothermal well is?
Yes. Now that I actually have understanding of it. So
I would hope you know now. I didn't know then, and I still don't.
So geothermal energy is another form of renewable energy. Basically what it does is it taps into the Earth's hot springs and kind of, acts like hydroelectricity. You have a tank, those hot springs power turbines, and it helps power heating and cooling. So it makes the home energy, it's like energy savings renewable, and it makes it more energy efficient. It's
and to add to that too is, as far as I understand it, is at a certain depth, there's a temperature that's really hot, and at another depth, there's a temperature that's cool.
Yes.
And so the air from those 2 locations can be pushed throughout a home, and you can have heating and cooling without actually needing to create heat or create cold air You just have to power the flow of it.
Correct.
The temperature is coming from the Earth's core.
Correct.
Maybe not the core, but
inside
of
the inside
Earth.
like the mantlage. So it was actually cool. So we had my friend, he ran a rock rig, which because you got like wet holes and dry holes. Wet holes can be more dangerous because things more pressure. So rock rig was like typically quicker. So we did more like commercial jobs. So commercial jobs we would drill down about 700 to 800 feet. Residential jobs about 350 feet. Yeah.
Wow.
It was cool. It was cool. And it's it's funny how life changes. So I was there and I was there for a while, maybe a year. I randomly get a call from a company. They saw my resume on Indeed and they were looking to hire me. So it was a cell phone tower company. What they were looking for was a ground supervisor. Starting pay was like $28, which was like $7 more than I was currently making. So I'm like, that's awesome. So, interviewed with the guy, interviewed with the company. Everything was going great. Application, all the onboarding docs, all that good jazz, background check. And the guy's like, he's like, well, we need you to hurry up and start. And I was like, I got to put in my 2 weeks. So, put in my 2 week notice. I told the guy at the geothermal company, like he was great. And it's funny. I put in my 2 weeks notice and the same day, or maybe the same day that I put in my 2 week notice. No, after the 2 weeks was up, the last day of my 2 week notice, I get a call from that company and he's like, hey, I got bad news. He was like, your background check didn't clear and we cannot hire you. And I'm like, well, maybe you probably should have told me that somewhere like before we were doing this for 3 weeks. Like it took me a week to even put in my 2 week notice. And here we are after the 2 week notice and it's now just coming back. So I literally call up Adam, the owner of the company, and I'm like, hey, Adam, I know I just quit today. I was like, but what if I get my job back?
My calendar was mixed up. I thought it was April 1st.
So he's like, of course. He's like, you're an amazing worker. Cool. He's like, wow. I'd be happy to have you back. And I'm like, thank you. And that actually set off a clock for me because I'm like, at that point I was like 33. Something like that. And I had thrown my back out a couple times from the moving company, once from the geothermal company. I got 40 stitches in my head from smacking myself, from a wrench popping off flying and smacking me in the head. I'm like, I'm not getting any younger. So that's when I decided that I needed a change. So I'm like, I wanted to start to get into like some office type of work, which kind of brings me to this chapter of my life. So I had my license, had a car, wanted to, provide a better life for myself without like killing myself to do it. So I'm like, I need an office job. I'm like, I need a nice cushy office job where I don't have to work from literally like dawn to dusk, because like going to work when it's dark outside and then coming home from work when it's dark outside, it's very depressing. And it takes a toll on not just your body but like your mental as well. So I'm like, I need a different route. So I wanted to get into office work and I'm like, okay, in order for me to get an office job, I'm going to need some type of experience, right? Because it's not really that easy to get into office work if you've never done any office work, especially as a 33-year-old guy who wants to hire me, right? I'm not handsome enough to be somebody's assistant.
That ain't true. I'm looking at you right now. This ain't camera tricks. This is real.
So funny enough.
This is the magic bullet at work.
So I went on Indeed. And I applied.
Indeed's getting so much free advertising on this show.
I know. It's the number one recruiting system out there. Hope they pay me for that. They probably
all the views, they have to legally, I think.
They probably won't. So I ended up applying for 3 different type of positions. One was for trucking logistics. So, I'd done trucking and all that good jazz, knew how to drive and all that. And so I'm like, okay, I know about that industry. So that's probably a good gateway. The second type of industry I applied for was insurance sales. It was like home and life insurance. And the third one was for a solar company. So I'm like, weighing my options. I'm like, yes, I have experience in the trucking industry. But do I it's a nightmare. Like, do I really want to be in logistics and all that good jazz? Like, it's a nightmare. So I'm like, maybe I don't want to do that. So the one that I was actually taking was the insurance gig. It was, like I said, home and life insurance. I really loved the business plan. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be great. This will get me some, computer experience because I hadn't used the computer since high school before I dropped out. This will get me some office experience, and this will get me some professional setting experience. And of course, I applied at the solar company. I wasn't going to take the solar company because they wanted me to go door to door. I'm like, bro, I'm 33 years old. I'm not walking around knocking on anybody's door. So
I'll sleep in the woods, but I ain't doing that. I ain't that low. All right.
It is self-perception is a crazy thing. Yeah. And it isn't until you can really give up your full self-perception that you can change your trajectory and course. A lot of times we're the only one holding us back, and it's just because of our self-perceived image. But yeah, I was taking the insurance gig. I like the pay plan. I like the business plan. I loved everything about it. Wasn't trying to knock doors. So the guy at the solar company, which wasn't this guy, wasn't this company, but the guy at the solar company, he called me, I don't know, every week, maybe once or twice a week, trying to recruit me. And I blocked his number. So I took the insurance gig. I got licensed and all that good jazz. And, I get a random call and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking of somebody management from the insurance gig. No, it's Eric at the other company.
You got a new number?
Yes. And he's like, hey, Cory. And I'm like, hey, who's this? He's like, oh, it's Eric from so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, hey, Eric. He's like, I've been trying to get in touch with you. And in my head, I'm like, bro, I blocked your number. How do you not notice that? He's like, listen, he's like, I know people here door to door. He's like, they're like, it's not for me. He's like, honestly, I think you would love it. So rewind a little bit, got clean, went to the shelter. So when I got at the shelter, I got heavily re-involved in church. So just doing a lot of volunteer work. I love my church. Shout out Calvary Community Missions Team in Riva, Annapolis. We do a lot of mission work for the community and all around the world. So I got into it. We were doing clothing drives every Sunday. We would serve dinner at the Lighthouse Shelter. And that was one of the best parts about my road to recovery was being able to go back and serve the same people that were responsible for my road. So, I had talked to Eric about that stuff when we talked on the phone. And he's like, listen, he's like, I know people here door to door and they're like, it's not for me. He's like, honestly, I think you would love it. He was like, listen, he's like, just give me 4 hours of your time. He's like, if you don't like it, he's like, you never have to hear from me again. I'm like, bro, if it'll get you out of my face, I was like, sure. I went out with them and honestly, I immediately fell in love with it the first day.
He just took you out knocking. You guys just went out setting appointments and
yep.
You shattered him.
Yep.
And you were like, and what did you like about it?
So I'm a nerd. I was on chess club and all that.
We know you won a spelling bee.
Yes. I was also captain of chess club.
I wasn't even going to make fun of you, but dude, it was such a softball.
Chasing that high ever since.
I want to acknowledge, us for the restraint.
Yeah.
We could have made fun of you, bullied you. We didn't.
Neither one of you can spell that well, though.
We kept it professional. Yeah. I was like, if I could spell bully, I'll do it.
Lucky for you,
R-I-L-E-Y. No, but one of the, I remember he was telling me about panel production, how clean energy and how one panel alone was kind of equivalent to about now, don't quote me on the math or science, but equivalent to about 10 mature trees producing energy. And
Removing carbon.
Yes, removing carbon.
Yep. The avoided the carbon offset, the avoided carbon of one panel is what, 10 trees? Is that what you said?
Yep.
Let's run with it. Yeah, that's 100% accurate.
99% of the time.
Yeah.
So, like, I found I like the clean energy aspect of it. I liked helping the environment, and I got to like see a glimpse into like how it was helping people. So I'm like, oh, this is actually cool, and all I'm doing is talking to people. And it's funny because like I went out and I shadowed him, and he was horrible. He was absolutely horrible. I watched him like talk to people, and I watched him like get objections and people shut him down. And I'm like, oh, bro, you should have said this. But I'm new. I didn't want to overstep my bounds. So he's like, how do you like it? I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a try. Sure, why not? So I got hired, went through training, went out with him again, to watch him again, like as a actual onboarded rep. Again, he was horrible. I'm like, wow. So I think I shadowed him half the day. The other half, I just, went out by myself and I set 3 appointments. Then the next day came around. He's like, do you want to go out together, or are you feeling good to go by yourself? I'm like, no, I'll go by myself. I went out and I set like another 4 appointments. I ended up setting like 60 appointments my first 30 days, and I got like 10 contracts. And I'm like, and I know it's cliche because like, the money and all that good jazz, but like I came from nothing. Like when I got into this, like I didn't have a bank account. I couldn't open a bank account because I owed the bank money from like a long time ago. And like ever since I got a job, and every time I go to a bank, like nobody would like let me open an account. So I always had to go to a check cashing place, which took like a 10% or like a great percentage of your money and all that good jazz.
It's criminal, but yeah.
It is. I mean, it's all good and fine when your check's only like $500. So like you really don't miss, that much money. But like I remember, I think like I got a really nice check. And I went to a check cashing place to cash it, and their cut of my check was like $1,200. And I'm like, wow, so I'm like, okay, yes. So I'm like, yeah, I need a bank account. So I ended up going to the bank to try to settle the issue. And I get there and they're like, oh, Mr. Macklin, it's been so long, there's nothing we can do about it. It's already in collections. And honestly, like it's been so long that it's about to be out of there in like a year and all that good jazz. And I'm like, you don't understand. I was like, I can't just keep going to a check cashing place. I'm like, they robbed me blind. I was like, I got bills. I got things I got to take care of. And she's like, I'm so sorry. There's like absolutely nothing we can do. So I think I had like $20,000 on me. And it was just like all bands in cash. So like I pull it out of my pocket and like sit it on the desk, on her desk. And I'm like, so you're telling me like there's nowhere I can put this money? And she looks at it and she looks at me and she looks at it and she's like, let me see what I can do. She types a couple of keys on the computer and she's like, you know what? I think we can help you and we're just going to call what you owe us even. I'm like, awesome. Sounds great. Yeah. Funny how that works. So that's that right there was like, my eye-opening moment. Because like, honestly, like this was only supposed to be a stepping stone. This was never supposed to be my career. This was never my path. This was never even my thought. This was just, oh, okay, this will give me a little bit of experience, like in an office-y type of environment. And then I can take that and put on a resume and go where I really want. So first 30 days, did very well, continued to do well. So the company's national director of sales and marketing came down, and so did the vice president for our area. By this point, I've been working there for like 45 days. I think I had like 15 contracts in that time. So they come down and, they want to meet me because I've been doing so well. So I think we go out. They took me out to like dinner and they're like, how do you feel about managing the team? And I'm like, huh? And they're like, yeah, your manager's not really pulling his weight. So we want to promote you instead. And I'm like, Well, okay. So, and like, honestly, in every job, every career, like I've been used to being in leadership. But 45 days in was pretty wild. So they demoted him. They promoted me. He was on my team. He didn't really take that the best.
That's a hard thing to take.
So he left. I worked there for about 9 months. We were the number one team. Well, there was a battle. It was with Florida because there was a great crusher in Florida. But we ran a number one team. We were a small team. We were just very efficient, very good at what we do. And so I always compare that company to like the Wizard of Oz because it's like pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I got a peek behind the curtain one day. I remember like I set an appointment with this dude. So, of course, I was a setter, closer went in there, closed it, blah, blah, blah. I guess like I gave the guy a card or something. The guy calls me like 6 months later. And he's like, and I had no idea what any of this meant. He's like, hey, he's like, this is the guy you talked to, a while ago. He was like, yeah, I went solar with you guys. He was like, and I've been waiting for them to send me a change order for months now, and nobody's, returning my calls. And I'm like, okay, let me see what I can do for you. And I'm like, I don't even know what any of that means. What is a change order? So I called the company's national director of sales, and I explained to him what's going on. And his response was, screw that guy. He's already signed the dotted lines. It's too late now. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that is a very wild thing to say. What a very peculiar thing to say. That was my peek behind the curtain. It was that, and also I had another employee, and she was my star pupil. Amazing. She was going through some, rough personal stuff at the time. And, so she needed to leave the field for like an emergency medical appointment. And the vice president or something, he calls me and he's like, hey, I noticed so-and-so isn't out there. Where is she at? And I'm like, oh, she had to leave the field, for personal problems and all that good jazz. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, we can be that person. He was like, we can fill that cup for her. And I'm like, first of all, I'm like, none of us are licensed, psychiatrists or anything like that. And I'm like, to tell an employee that, no, you don't need to go see a licensed medical professional. I can be that. Just come talk to me instead. Like, that is in complete violation. And I'm like, wow, you have no sanctity or respect for this person as a being, but only about what they can do for, your numbers and make you look better. So I put in my resignation letter. And I actually, was taking my team with me. I was going to another company, which you guys all know because most of you guys came from there. I was supposed to start there on Monday. As fate would have it, met with you on Saturday.
I was coming to town.
Talk about an eventful meeting. Yeah, honestly, I had no idea. I didn't know you, didn't know Bobby. We're just three random people that got together at Fogo de Chao at 11 a.m. That was an hour away from me. And like, honestly, I wasn't going to go. Like, I had been onboarded. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to this company. I'm already settled. And they're like, well, I mean, why not just come? Even if you don't like the job, you get free Fogo out of it. And I'm like, can I bring a date? They're like, yes.
Again, 11 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yes. Yeah. So met at Fogo de Chao with the man of the hour here.
You were the man of the hour.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm just a lousy
the man
host.
of the minute. Sorry. Met at Fogo with you. Bobby was there as well. We were all strangers. And I remember, like you up there talking about Boundless, because this is like right after Boundless started. Were you guys like 7 months old?
We started in June of 2020. That was
November.
So this was November. Yeah.
That was November 2020. We actually started February. Yeah. That was in November when we had that talk. We started in February. So that's crazy. But yeah, we met at Fogo. And I remember, you talking about balance and talking about freedom. I remember you talking about like CBATs and freedoms like transparency and how, everything, like how everything works. And I remember you were talking about like the new age, right? You're like, I've been at this company. I've, ran this company. I've helped build this company. I've seen a lot of what works. I've seen a lot of what doesn't work. And I think like you were, one of the things you said, like one of most companies' faults is that they put profits before people. And you're like, that's not how this industry is. That's not how it should be. Right now we're in the age of technology where if anybody, I'll take Bobby's story, for example. So Bobby goes to Home Depot all the time. Bobby is like a Home Depot aficionado. Sometimes he just like hangs out there and helps people like find what they need, just so he can get out of the house. So he goes to Home Depot all the time, right?
He doesn't look like he would know where anything is.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That actually helps a lot. Does it? Yeah.
I mean, I believe you can fix things. I'm just saying it doesn't look like it.
Not in the slightest.
I say that with all due respect.
Which is none.
You just have soft hands. That's all he's saying.
No, all right, show me your hands. Come on, let's go.
I mean, I've been in sales for a while, so they're not as calloused as they used to be.
Bobby could sand a dresser without any paper.
Do not doubt it. So Bobby goes to Home Depot all the time. Bobby has had thousands of great experiences with Home Depot. Bobby, how many times have you gone on Home Depot's website and left a positive review?
Just once.
Just once. He's had thousands of great experiences. Bobby goes to Home Depot one time and he has one bad experience. They mess up his order. Bobby goes on Home Depot and he leaves the most scathing review of Home Depot. Never come into this store again. They're the worst. Don't ever come here. Mind you, he's gone to that store 1,000 times, never had a problem. Right? That's human, right? Like people really don't have a lot to say when things are going well. But when things go wrong, oh boy, they have a lot to say. Somebody actually just said it the other at the summit. Like it takes 1 trillion words to build a relationship, but only one to break it. I think that was you.
It wasn't me, but great line.
So I remember you saying, like we're in the age of technology. When people have a good experience, they typically don't go online, to, shout it out to the world. But like when they have a bad one, they go and tell everybody, right? And everybody's going online, looking up stuff, looking for reviews and checking out this and that. And you want to have a good presence, right? Like we're only as good as the people we serve. So like that really resonated with me. That like really stuck with me. Because like my issue with the last company was integrity and morals, right? I couldn't stamp my name behind something that I don't believe in or someone that I don't believe in. And after hearing you say that, like, I'm like, okay, this seems like exactly where I want to be. So I called up the person that had brought me over to the other company. And I'm like, hey, I was like, I know I'm supposed to start in 2 days, but I'm taking this other job. And he's like, tell me about it. And I told him about it. He's like, honestly, I would have done the same thing. And that started my career here at Boundless. Now, like I said, I've been door knocking for almost a year before I came here. So I thought I knew solar. I'm like, okay, I've been doing this for almost a year. I'm great at what I do. I know this is going to be easy because I was brought over as a closer, not a setter.
We didn't need setters at the time.
No, we did not.
The leads were flowing like the salmon of Capistrano. So yeah, you needed to learn how to close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember you guys flew us out to HQ February 2021.
Yeah, we were doing training in person at the time.
Yep. Met Mark, Jay, Jeff Gaskell, Hannah, Jay and Mark, sat us in the office, trained us on like how to use the software, how to open markets and all that good jazz. And like the first day we got in, that night, our homework was to complete that ADAPT training, which I think was like a 4-hour class or something like that, 4-hour training. It was pretty long.
I don't think it was supposed to be 4 hours.
It may not supposed to have been 4 hours.
It varies. The average time to completion is about 25 minutes, and I think the longest was 4 hours. I don't know who it was. No,
I'm a record setter. What can I say?
That's what you do, dude.
For good or bad. I remember opening the Ed Up training, and I'm like, holy cow, I have no idea about solar. Like, I don't know what any of this is. And then, like, I'm surrounded by, like, a math whiz here who's like, oh, what's 100 trillion, 200 million, 568,000 divided by 17? And Bobby's like, 38. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? You don't even have a calculator. And I'm checking his work and he's right. So I'm like, holy cow, I'm in over my head. Math was hard. I didn't know anything. It took me forever to complete it. And like, we had to have it done by the next morning. So I think we collectively stayed up to like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, trying to get this thing done. And I remember like, wow. Walking in like the next day, like, holy cow, what did I actually sign up for? So then I started like really diving into any and everything energy and solar. Podcasts, YouTube videos, books, anything that I can just like figure out how to learn. We did the training here. That was the end of February. I think that was like February 28th is when we came, like 26th is when we came out. Like you said, we get back, leads are like salmon in a stream, right? It's just flooding. We have our first new hire class with like 4 people. It was weird because like there's 3 managers and like 4 sales reps. So it's a very weird time. We have our first training class. We don't even have an office yet. Balance goes all out and rents us a nice mansion in North Potomac. If anybody from Maryland knows anything about North Potomac, you knew that like we took a lot of money from Riley for that training facility.
I didn't approve it at the time. And I think I probably still owe you a clawback for that one. So
I think it's important to note that this is early 2021. You can't rent an office space. And COVID had ravaged most of public meeting spaces.
Yes.
That's what we had to do it.
It's very dangerous to meet people. But it was a risk we were willing to take. And so we did it in a house. And yes, I do remember we got a big enough house where we could have some people that needed to stay there. It was cheaper than getting hotel rooms. And then we had a big old open room for meeting space. And so, yeah, that was a wild time. I want to get into, I actually don't need to say, if I didn't say anything, this episode would just roll all the way through. You would hit all the points that we talked about ahead of time, and I don't need to do anything. Bobby can just sit here. Bobby can just sit here looking amazing.
Right.
And, but I do want to jump into just a little bit of, because this podcast is for people that are in the solar space, or it's for people that are looking to maybe get into the solar space. One of the things I love about these stories, and in your story in particular, is just being able to come from a place where there maybe isn't a ton of hope. There maybe isn't a clear, how do I become a multiple 6-figure earner? I don't know that was even on your radar when you were sleeping in the woods. No. But everybody starts somewhere. And, you talk about religion and God. And, I think that I personally believe that God works through people around you. Mm-hmm. And you said, trust in God to help you get where you want to go. Trust in his plan, not your own. And then all of a sudden you just start doing right by yourself and by others around you. And then there wasn't a single point in your story arc there where you said, I went and sought out thing. What actually happened was this person said, hey, you should do this. And then another person said, hey, this. And then another person said, hey, this. So all along the way, you're just doing the best that you can. And then opportunities are showing themselves or manifesting themselves to you. And you just kept taking advantage of them. And then this one is a funny one. We were a startup at the time, brand new organization. We had some principles and some, a belief system around what we wanted to do, which, our philosophy is, we should operate as a company at a lower margin If we do that, then our customers can pay less money for the same products. Our salespeople can make more money for doing the same job. And because we have lower pricing to customers and better commissions to salespeople, we will win on volume. And that has been happening. It becomes very, very attractive. And so when you got into this, I wanted to ask you just a few of like the learning lessons, because you came out of the gate and you did start selling. You started selling a little bit right out of the gate. You had to work on your pipeline management, and like there's some nuance to getting pretty good at this. But you're one of the top installers all time in our organization. I had no idea any of this about your background. All I knew you as in the beginning was just the person that you showed up as, which was already somebody that kind of had it together, and you had some experience and you knew how to generate business. And then I remember coming down, it was before you were managing a team. I came in and I visited the team meeting, and in the team meeting, you were sitting there at your computer, and you were, obviously one of, if not the top sales rep on the team. And then the meeting was going, and there was, some training happening, and, Bobby was up there, the DM was up there at one point, and then all of a sudden the meeting kind of turned where somebody had a question. And then what naturally happened was you started answering this question, and it was about like some specific nuance to a certain product and how to make something work that was a little bit complicated. You wouldn't learn it in a standard training. And all of a sudden I watched the whole room turn to you, and then you just owned and like dominated that moment. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh, Cory's a natural leader here. Like Cory's one of the central pillars of this team. And shortly thereafter, you officially became a manager. And then of course, Baltimore's been the top team, or top 2 or 3 at least for a year now. And, maybe took you a little bit of time to get there, but you've been steadily up at the top of the board. Talk to everybody just real quick, like what were some of the things that you stumbled with in the beginning that you needed to learn how to do, and what did you learn in those moments?
So I mean, all of it is really new to me. I've always been good with people. I've always been, great at building personal connections. So that was actually how I ended up closing my first deal. It was very, very, very little solar knowledge because I didn't have any solar knowledge. But like it was 90% of just me like getting to know the person and us making friends. He canceled the next day. So that was
he liked you enough to buy then, but he didn't even know what you sold him.
That was a blow. And like, honestly, like it scared me a little bit. I'm like, holy cow, am I in over my head? I had like, for me, one of the hardest things to learn, it wasn't necessarily like closing the deal. It was the back end work. It was like, getting the job to the roof. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, like solar's simple. It's, would you like to pay less and protect yourself from rate increases for the next 25 years? Or would you like to continue to be at the mercy of your utility company like we have been for the last 140 years? It's a pretty clear-cut answer, right? Puts money back in people's pocket. My issue was the back end work. Like I had no idea I didn't even fully understand what adders were. I didn't fully understand CBATs. I didn't fully understand solar math. I was horrible at those things. I didn't know how to properly design a system. I didn't know how to properly price a system. And then when I would get issues like tickets and stuff, I didn't know how to resolve those. And I ended up like selling a lot of, bad projects. I mean, it was great for the homeowner, but like it was horrible for me and the company because like literally I lost money. Like I had to pay the company money on jobs. Like thanks Freedom for changing that around now. One of the things so I got to shout out Sakib Shafiq, Mo Kilowatts. Mo was my biggest mentor. Mo was my biggest mentor in this. And honestly, like that was the changing factor. Cause like, remember when I went to the shelter, and I'm like, hey, I know everything. And then I go in there and I learned something within the first 10 minutes and I'm like, well, maybe I don't know everything. So setting aside my pride and asking for help became a lot easier by then. I would rely on Mo a lot. And another shout out to Ashley Daniels. She helped a lot. But it was hard for me to figure that out. Like, I banged my head against the wall for a long time. And like, the biggest part of it, like the reason it took me the longest is probably because I waited so long to reach out and ask for help. Once I stopped, trying to do things my own way and ask somebody who's actually been doing this for a while, it started to become more simpler. So like you got to figure, like, nobody gets through this life alone, right? Like, I know people claim self-made all the time, this, that, and a third, but like literally there's no such thing as self-made. Somewhere along the way, somebody had to, assist you in doing something, right? Like, even look at Boundless. Like, you're the CEO. It's not self-made. Like, you have great partners and great people and great structures around you that help the business grow and you grow and succeed. So finding the right people, reaching out for help and surrounding yourself with the people that, want to help and succeed, it's a huge key. It's a huge key.
All right. Shout out to Mo and Ashley. That's critical. The people around you matter a lot. And I think you said it well. There is no such thing as a self-made man or woman. Everybody gets a lot of help. Good on you for figuring it out. It took you 30 years the first time. Hold on. That's
33.
29.
No, it took you 29 and 11 months.
And 11 months.
Sorry to change you. But yeah, life is funny. It's the same lessons kind of over and over again. You just get better at shortening the time frame between when you're being an idiot and when you like make a change. So let's talk about leadership for a minute. You're now running a team. You have I don't know how big the team is. 20 something people on the team currently. Is that about right?
Including like all together, closing field. Yep.
Yeah. So there's about 20 people that look to you as a leader. There's plenty more than that, but officially on paper, there's about 20 people. And what would you say to anybody that wants to get into leadership? They aspire to, lead a team one day. What is it like stepping from being an individual contributor and worrying about yourself and figuring that out to now being responsible for others and their success and simultaneously your own? What would you share with people about what that journey is like?
I mean, it's scary, to be honest. Like, I didn't want to be a leader. Yeah, he's laughing.
Too bad.
He's laughing because he was relentless.
Longest close of my life.
Like, I didn't want the role. Like, even before we brought in the old, like the other DM and all that good jazz, like, I never wanted the role. The only reason why I actually took it, Bobby just like was relentless about like, hey, you should do this. But it was kind of like the moments that you said, like when, going over something, everybody's, like turning to me and, looking for me for advice. And like, I was already getting calls from everybody on the team and questions from everybody and already being that. Honestly, I was just selfish. I didn't want to, do it. I took the role and honestly, it was the best decision of my life. So a lot of people think that like leadership is, telling people to do something and, them doing it and, you just getting to sit back and all that good jazz. Like, no, like I work twice as hard as a leader. I work twice as hard as a leader because like, I know that this industry has literally changed my life. It has changed my life and it has like literally put me in a position that something I've never even thought about, being possible, especially where I come from. And like being able to give back and pour into people and help empower others, that is worth any title, any type of salary, anything more than you can imagine, right? Like so I have children and like I always compare this to, being a parent. Like I have 20 people that look to me for guidance, and I am responsible for their success and their upbringing, right? And being able to watch, your reps come in, start here, and then you can see their life progress for the better and better, and have them coming and thanking you and, telling you like they couldn't have done without you. Like it is the best feeling ever. And like, honestly, like it's funny because like I said, I got out of construction because I didn't want to do sundown to sundown. Here I am, sundown to sundown, sundown to sundown working, but it's a lot more fulfilling job. And like, you got to figure it's not just 20 people that, I get to have an impact on, because those 20 people go into the world and they talk to dozens of homeowners each day, and they get to impact a lot more lives each day. And then those homeowners get to help impact the lives of their friends, family, and coworkers, and the people that they care about. So it kind of becomes like an exponential ripple effect of doing good for, the people around you, for the community around you, and the world around you.
The results indicate that what you just shared, like, you actually care. I can tell that you actually care because the people around you thrive. That's happening. What are some things that you've failed at as a leader, maybe even recently, that you've discovered that you realize you need to make a little quarter turn on, or you need to do a better job with?
I mean, I could name a list.
I'm sure so could I. Not about you, but we all got a list. Yeah.
One, accountability. That is one of my weaknesses. And
holding other people accountable. What do you mean? So when you say like accountability has been a weakness of mine, like what did you do, or what were you doing that you think wasn't working?
So like letting somebody go 3 weeks without getting on board, or getting themselves a deal, right? And my issue was like, I didn't want to like come down on them, because like I know the journey is different for different people, right? And I'm like, okay, everybody's running their own race at their pace, and who am I to say that you're running too slow? But the reason that I believe it's my biggest issue, because like I said, I really care about my people, and if I'm letting somebody go 3 weeks without getting on board, then I'm not supporting them. I'm not showing them the right attention and care that they need. And I know it's not okay, because I know that they don't think it's okay. Right? Nobody wants to go 3 weeks without, getting on board or getting a paycheck or something like that. So having those tough conversations and calling people out on, their lack of effort, that has been a weakness of mine.
How do you do a better job at it? I think most leaders would say that holding others accountable is a challenge. It just is a challenge. It might be the greatest challenge in leadership. And how do you do it effectively? Like, what are some things that you've learned that help you with that?
Well, it's funny you ask, because I actually learned some pretty cool things this week. I mean, one, you have to have the conversation. Like, you have to get it out the way. You have to clear the air. Like, the longer you wait to have the conversation, the harder it is going to be to correct course, right?
Yeah.
2, the longer I wait to have the conversation, the more depressed that rep can be by not getting on board. And so I found like a couple of things that I learned is just like, to address the elephant in the room. Like, hey, I noticed you haven't, I noticed you haven't been on a school board in the last 3 weeks. I know that's not why you, signed up for this job. And I know that you don't find that acceptable the same way I don't find that acceptable. What do we change from here? And bringing out the elephant in the room, holding people accountable, and then clearing the air, and then helping them readjust that course, it only makes it stronger. Like, and it's funny because my missus, she loves where she works. She loves her boss, but like sometimes she'll come home complain because they had a tough conversation. My wife didn't like it or something. She might complain about it, but like next day they're best friends and they're better because of it. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's something I can learn.
Yeah. Just having the courage to say what needs to be said and being okay with it. People need it. People need to be pushed. Almost everybody needs it from time to time. So let's talk. Can we just talk about solar in Maryland for a second? Like solar's pretty dope in Maryland.
Yes.
Like what? Describe the value of solar in the state of Maryland for a moment.
I mean, I think Maryland is the best state for solar. One, like, so Maryland, we are top in like education, educated state, and richest state. So like people are more like financially sound and educated. But also you got to figure like where we're at, we have been seeing such a surge of skyrocketing cost increases for electricity. Over the past 4 years alone, it has been about 90% cost increase just over the last 4 years.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's been ridiculous.
What's the average price per kilowatt hour?
So when I first started, it was about 11, 12 cents.
11, 12 cents a kilowatt hour.
Right now, I got to do the new calculation because it just went up September 1st.
Okay.
But as of August 31st, it was 20 cents. So it had gone from like 11.4 cents per kilowatt hour back in 2021 to 20 cents per kilowatt hour in 2025. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but like the average home uses about 16,000 kilowatt hours a year. So like that's an extra $150 a month for that same electricity that you've been using. Like why pay more for something that you have to continue to use? So in Maryland, like, yes, there's federal help, but like also the state is really big on helping homeowners gain the benefit of lowering their electricity costs and locking in their rates while helping relieve the strain on the infrastructure. So we have a lot of great like state and local incentives for homeowners that do decide to make the switch. And what it does, and honestly, it's kind of like imagine, I know I'm a little old. I might age myself here, but if I would have gotten my license when I was 16, gas was 95 cents a gallon, right? Like imagine imagine somebody giving you a gas station and they're like, hey, I know you're going to Shell and filling up for 95 cents a gallon. Instead of that, why don't I just give you this gas station and you just get it from me for 50 cents a gallon? And the best part about it is we're actually going to fix those costs for you. Now imagine you're still paying like 60 cents a gallon while everybody else is filling up their truck at $3.50.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you'd have to be the smartest person. You'd have to be the non-smartest person not to take that.
You'd have to be pretty dumb. Hold on a second, Bobby. Can you just keep it down? We can't even get a word in over here.
I did call that this is going to happen. It's usually how the Cory and I meetings go.
It's good, dude. I wanted to ask you a little bit. You know Cory very, very well. You've been working with him for almost 5 years now. Who do you know Cory as a person and as a leader?
He's a multifaceted guy, right? He hasn't mentioned some of the other really cool things he's accomplished, right? Cory's a musician. Cory is an incredible father. Cory was at my wedding. In this industry, you spend a lot of time with the people who are doing the same thing as you. And you learn so much about people, right? And even in this, still learning new things about Cory, right? But for me, Cory's been a mentor as well. Right? It's teaching people how to do this job helps you do it better. Right? I think Cory is a bastion of hope and now of solar knowledge for people to go to. Right? I think he probably liked solar more than anybody I've ever met. Not just selling solar, but like as a product, Cory loves it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that energy is infectious. And I want to just appreciate that part of you as well, right?
Appreciate that.
Yeah, you bring it. You definitely bring it as far as the energy goes. How do you get up or get hyped, because it's pretty rare that you're not fully present, fully visible, communicating with people constantly. Like, what do you do do you motivate yourself somehow? Do you have some secret recipe? Is it just the magic bullet? Like, what is it that you do to keep the energy up?
I mean, honestly, like I'm blessed to wake up every day, right? Like I have an amazing family. I have an amazing life. Like I have a great lady. I have great children. Like I am blessed beyond measures, right? Like I am somewhere where I never thought that I'd be. Like I actually have people that are like, "Oh man, I'm surprised you're still alive right now." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, thanks."
not just alive. I'm living. I'm living, dude. Yeah.
So I wake up like every day that we, every chance and every day that we get on this earth is another opportunity to be a better version of ourselves, right? So I wake up with the excitement and the enthusiasm that like, hey, what am I going to learn today? What is life going to teach me today? What am I going to get to be a part of? Right? It's all a mystery. Like I don't worry about the future. Like I just enjoy the time and like being around like-minded individuals. It just helps bring out the best part of me. So, I mean, yeah, like not every day, it's just like bouncing off the walls and all that good jazz. But like having a leash on life and having a purpose, I think there's something about that in itself.
And what is your purpose?
So honestly, I've always had the belief that this world of ours would be a lot better if we learn to put, the needs of everyone else above ourselves. So my purpose in life is literally just to help and change as many lives as possible. I just want to be able to leave a positive impact on as many people as possible and every person that I come across.
That's a good clip right there, my friend. You're doing it. We're running low on time at this point, and I wanted to give Bobby just a moment. If there's anything, Bobby, that you feel like we need to dive into, this is a chance to do it. If there's an additional question, or if there's just something you want to say.
I think there's still so much to touch on because there's so many facets to this industry, but the more you dive into it, the more it becomes a part of who you are and what you do. And I think that reflects with Cory and with Cory's team, because people are talking about the things that are actually happening and the things that matter, right? And I think it's a good representation of the more you care, the better everyone around you is going to do.
You can't fake it. You can, but people will find out eventually.
It's hard. Most people can sniff through it.
No, they'll sniff through it eventually. It maybe not in a day, maybe not in a week, maybe not even in a month, but certainly, a couple months in, like you were talking about, you work somewhere, you get a peek behind the curtain. And what you mean by that is you get to peek into who somebody really is. And all of a sudden it's like, that doesn't resonate with me at all. In fact, that's distasteful. So Cory, I really appreciate you, man. He called you a beacon. I think that's 100% true.
Or a lighthouse.
I was going to call you a lighthouse when I was going to stole my thunder.
That was good. Yeah. Shout out to the Lighthouse, by the way. The Lighthouse Homeless Shelter
and Bistro.
And the Lighthouse Bistro. Yep. Pretty sick, dude. You really have an incredible story. And the challenges that people go through in life are what give them. I personally believe that the reason people go through hard things is because they're supposed to be a tool for the betterment of everybody around them. That you should be a gift to humanity. And if you haven't gone through anything hard ever, well, you can't relate to people that are going through hard things. And my friend, you certainly can, and you certainly are elevating and lifting others up around you constantly. Shout out to the whole Baltimore squad.
Yes.
Cory Macklin here. Really, really appreciate you and all you bring to our organization and to the people around you. This has been episode 5 of The Signal. Cory Macklin, co-host Bobby Braun, and they're going to get up and trade seats here. And we're going to go. I've never done 2 episodes back to back. I don't know if I'm not even going to change clothes.
You probably should.
Well, you guys will be wearing the same thing. So it's just a dead giveaway. So anyway, thank you all for being here. And go to www.magicbullet.com/the signal to get a 5% discount on a Magic Bullet, maximum 1 per order. Thank you all. We'll see you next time.